All right, let's get it, fools.
What's up, y'all? Happy Money Monday. What up, Fernando, Vince, or On? How we all doing, boys? Boys and girls, it's a beautiful week. It's a great week to make some money. We got the 4th of July, which means 4th of July sales. Have a good time with the fam. Blow some stuff up, but not the sourcing fingers. You can't blow up the sourcing fingers.
I didn't know that.
Warner, where are you right now? Are you in Florida?
Yeah, I'm in Miami.
Is that a new backdrop? I feel like last time I visited, you didn't have like that.
Yeah, I got a nicer place.
Nice. Oh, you moved?
I got an office to it by itself now.
Nice. I didn't realize that.
Miles, when are you out?
September. Yeah.
Hey.
Charles. Damn, Charles, I was just thinking about you because when I search Flips4Miles shipment on Twitter to find an old picture to reuse, you show up. That's cool. Right there. Cool. What's up, Vince? This is a good one here because this is actually very relevant for Prime Day. Hey, what's up, everyone? Says Fernando. If I see a discount on an Amazon product, does the discount hit the seller? No, that would be highly illegal if they were changing your pricing. So no, and
that's a relatively new thing from what I've seen. It's pretty cool. Like it's just lowering your prices on Amazon and they pay you the difference basically.
Yeah,
so right. I'm not sure why they're doing that. Maybe they're feeling threatened by Walmart or something like that, rolling out some lower prices. But we will take it. More sales for the same profit. What up, Angel? What up, Peyton?
What up,
Miles? Your keyboard got even louder since last time.
Not me.
I think that's mine.
Okay. It looked like you were typing.
Eyes.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
He's been digging in. He can see his eyes.
Yeah. Corey's trying to put together POs over here.
I know. I've been locked in the Discord here. I've just been answering questions, so I'm getting out of that right now.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
How is it to realistically start making 10K profit starting with 5K budget over time? So the first iteration is going to be hard, of course. You'd have to be sourcing at a 50% ROI. But the cool thing is if you iterate and you keep all the money in the business, it gets easier and easier, right? So that first 5K, if you invested it smart, you probably make 1,500, 1,600, 2,000, something like that. Then that 5K becomes 6,000, right? And then you iterate and then iterate. And then if you do things like merchant fulfill, you can squeeze even more out of your budget. And then if you do like retail arbitrage, you can squeeze it out even more. And so that 5K really spends like 7 or 8 once you start using it smarter.
Yeah. So you're just snowballing it up, right? And that naturally, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter how hard something is, right? And that making money with anything is hard, right? You just got to commit to the process, do it for a while, build the skill, right? And if you're willing to do that, you're going to end up pretty good at this stuff after a little while. But you just got to pay down that ignorance debt as quick as possible. And really, commit to doing this over the long term.
Yeah, start with a more achievable goal too. Like 10K take you probably 6 to 12 months at the very least. And that's if you're crushing it. So shoot for 1,000. You can do that right now.
I mean, it's a cool goal.
Go ahead, Garrett.
That's why we hear from a lot of like corporate full timers, right? That are maybe 40, 50, have built up a nest egg. They're at just such an advantage, right? Because if you're thinking about boiling this business down to simply capital and sourcing capability, right? You can learn how to source within hours of watching our content. Obviously, we can't give you 20,000 to go buy products on your own. But if you're coming from a space where you have the money, all you have to do is couple that with some sourcing skill, right? Watch some live sourcing. Obviously, you're in the right place listening to these sorts of streams, taking a lot of content. And then once you couple the capital with the sourcing capability, then you're off to the races.
Yeah, and if you want to see an example of someone who really did figure it out quick, the video I posted a couple hours ago, which is an interview with Aaron, 0-day handle time. He's an absolute animal, and he made like 20K profit his third full month. That's obviously very rare and not typical whatsoever. But if you want to see how someone did figure it out really, really quick, right? Check out that video.
Is that a follow-up or is that his first appearance?
We made one in like.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, 0-day hadn't had a video yet. Yeah, that's
one of the reasons that he saw success so quickly is because and correct me if I'm wrong, but like he jumped into the community really early on, right? Like I think he like found out about the business and then realized it's something that he wanted to commit to and was like, all right, I'm going to get on Twitter and start posting videos of myself and meeting people and jumping in Zoom calls and jumping in group text. So like. Guys, we talk about this stuff every single week, but it's because it works. Like, and just there's so few people that truly grab the bull by the horns like he did in that scenario. And the people that do, it's just like a complete blue ocean for the people that do.
Yeah,
that.
Then he found himself in my living room without even knowing me.
Yeah,
a few months
exactly.
later. Yeah. Because I didn't really think that through because I told Aaron to go to Garrett's house and I was telling Garrett that I was coming to his house. And,
it was one of your more bizarre moves. It was definitely one of your more bizarre takes.
And that's saying something.
I forget why I told him to go to your
Bro,
house.
you have no idea.
Okay, here we go. Just trying to understand if they have an exclusive with someone that just trying to understand if they have an exclusive with someone knowing that they have one consistent third party seller on Keepa that's not the brand specifically.
So he was following up to his question
Yeah,
earlier.
that's a good one.
You have to let brands or distributors that you reach out to know that you sell specifically on Amazon. So this is one of those kind of topics of conversation that it really depends how you approach it. So a lot of suppliers, they're just going to flat out ask you, hey, where are you selling? Or, hey, do you sell on Amazon? And if they ask you straight up, you've got to tell the truth. You're never going to lie. So you say, yeah, absolutely, I sell on Amazon. In fact, I'd be stupid not to because it's, you can start naming off facts. It's the biggest retail sales channel in the country. I do a large volume of sales there. We represent XYZ brands. And then kind of bring it back to, and we're ready to order these products from you guys, right? So you don't necessarily need to lead with the fact. Like when I'm calling a supplier, I'm not calling them and saying, hey, I want to sell your stuff on Amazon. But if they ask me, I'm answering truthfully, but I'm answering in a way that kind of positions me as more than just an Amazon seller.
And then you couple with, but we also leverage Walmart, and we do some distribution of some of our, close-knit businesses that we have been working with for years and years. And then you start to kind of separate yourself from the seller that pigeonholes themselves as just an Amazon seller, right? As opposed to coming out with all these kind of spokes in the fork.
Yeah.
Or Nike products auto ungated. I don't think so. Just submit an order receipt, confirmation, invoice, whatever you got, you'll be good.
Yeah. Why does Keepa say I got a sale on a listing, although I didn't? Keepa's not saying you got a sale on a listing. Keepa's saying you got buy box on a listing, which, but getting buy box on a listing leads to getting sales, but it doesn't always just mean getting sales. So that is great though, that you're using the buy box analysis feature. That is a very helpful feature.
But also don't overindulge in that, right? We all know that Keepa's not a down to the second tool. So when something, we talk about this a bunch, right? Something where it shows maybe one seller owning 90% of the time or Amazon is owning 100% of the time, that's not necessarily an auto pass, right? Dig deeper, understand that they're very broad strokes and that there's always opportunity lying underneath the surface.
Oh, here we go. If an item lists for $50, but they have a 21% discount after the $50, what should I be selling it for? List where you can see the buy box going for on Keepa. And then go off of there. So look historically what the buy box price has been and price it to that.
Is sourcing from liquidation wholesalers a good idea? It's not the best. Depending on the product, sometimes it's going to be worse off than others. For example, you don't want to be touching beauty stuff from a liquidation wholesaler. You don't want to be touching really any sort of topical grocery, anything that goes in your body. It's just more risk. If it's a toy or if it's I don't know, insert product X that doesn't go inside your body, probably decent. But again, understand that there's always risk, right? Amazon's getting more and more obsessed with supply chain verification. And so that's not necessarily going to be a long-term solution, something that you're going to want to revolve your business around 100%.
Yep. I found a few Korean cosmetics wholesale websites. Do you think these websites might be any good? So you shouldn't be looking for places to source. You should be looking for products to source. But if you already found a couple of these and you think they might be good, start looking through their products. But if it's just an OA website where you just clicking around to stuff, it's going to be really difficult to just raw dog good items from there. You're going to have to put in a lot of work to it and find their discounts. It's going to make a lot more sense to do storefront stalking.
Yeah, just speaking from experience, real quick on that question about the Korean cosmetics wholesale websites. So speaking from experience, there's going to be a lot of importers based in the US that import these cosmetics from overseas. Now, just like with any supplier, some of them are going to be legitimate. Some of them are going to be a little sketchier. So at the end of the day, you want to ask them about their supply chain. Where are they getting the product from? Are they buying it directly from the manufacturer? Are they willing to provide a paper trail back to the manufacturer? These days, account health is the number one. It's paramount, right? That's a main concern. So I'd rather buy from maybe a wholesaler that maybe they're slightly more expensive, but their supply chain's solid and they're willing to back me up if I run into any issues. versus a supplier where maybe I can get 10% cheaper, but I'm screwed if Amazon comes after me.
Yep.
Your Amazon account will always be more valuable than the $1,000, $1,500, $500 that you're trying to kind of shortcut your way to, right? The closeout place, right? There's just a lot of things that your account should be paramount over.
Well, and Charles just asked, is sourcing from liquidation wholesalers a good idea? Which kind of leads into that last question. Not a good idea, right? Because
it's even worse.
Yeah. In fact, that's probably the worst thing you can do. Liquidation wholesalers, they're virtually never going to have any sort of legitimate supply chain documentation. So while their margins might be good, if Amazon flags you for any of those ASINs, or if you run into a Section 3 for any of those ASINs, anything like that, the chances of you losing your entire business are very high.
They're just going to have invoices that say they bought like a random truckload from Target or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, good luck.
Yeah. Some of the supply chain there is just totally sketchy.
This is a really good question. I mean, we can go on about this for hours. How do you find more long-term replans? If you're in your first 2 or 3 months, eliminate the word replan from your vocabulary. Too many sellers get over obsessed with finding the perfect replan when they're just getting started, which ultimately leads to them never spending any money, right? So first and foremost, you should be finding profit, not replenishables. Replenishables come with finding hundreds of different products that generate profit, right? And they kind of filter themselves out over time by allowing themselves to get restocked and restocked and restocked. But like on top of that, typically the more you have to do to fight for a margin, the better off you are. For example, if you're sourcing from a Nike.com sale, top line, first product, 30% off everything, how long do you realistically think that price is going to hold? How many inboxes of different Amazon sellers is that same product going to? However, if you contrast that to maybe like Puma.com, when they're not having a sale, and you have a 10% off new sign-up code, and maybe customer support can hook you up with another 10% for whatever reason, and you're merchant fulfilling, so it saves on FBA fees, or you're shipping to a no sales tax prep center. All those sorts of things are cracking down and adding margin by margin by margin to your overall profit, right? And then maybe you want to use maybe a discounted gift card that gives you another 2% off. All those things in conjunction ultimately give you so much of a moat ahead of the seller that doesn't know about 1 or 2 of those.
Yep. Yeah. And in general, right, pretty much everything's going to be a replan over the long term, right? Over 6 or 12 months, right? Because a lot of sales repeat themselves. Like Kohl's is a big one that only happens a couple times a year, but it happens a couple times every year, right? So like theoretically, you can't buy that 100% of the time. Almost no listings you can buy 100% of the time, but or they're not profitable 100% of the time. They ebb and flow, or the buy cost change, etc. Right? So if you're using the Seller Amp Google Sheets feature, you're using the Keep a Tracking Alerts feature, you're going to be able to find good stuff here.
Yeah, it's a good term. A lot of people like to sell the business on, just like arbitrary replens. But yeah, you just kind of stumble onto them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's what just general basic Excel skills are such an underrated skill, right? To have a Google Sheet that's very organized and very concise, that displays all your different products that you purchased, maybe under different umbrellas or different categories or different stores, right? You can keep a very organized Excel sheet. You're going to separate yourself and kind of set yourself up for success down the line, right? Because you find a product once, it may go up and down, but you want to continue to benefit from that hard work, right? You don't want to have to go find that product again and again and again every time. If you find it once, make sure you can continue to leverage that work over the time of your business.
Yeah. And then, so for example, like every item you find during 4th of July, see if you can use a discounted gift card on it to get another 4, 5, 10% off on that SKU. That's going to add profitability. It's going to increase the amount of items you're finding that other people aren't finding. And you just want to start mixing these intricacies. See if the retailer has a rewards program like Kohl's Cash or like Rack Room Shoes Rewards, for example. Okay. How do you
let's shout out real quick. Let's shout out our boy DJ here. So he's commenting, looks like from Brazil. He said
Brazil
2
guys
weeks
are
ago,
off. Yeah.
That's what's
asked his first question about selling here on a Money Monday stream. Got his first sales, made $500 in 15 days. Looking to spend $3,000 on inventory in July. Dude, that's awesome. So, I mean, this guy, he literally jumped in the stream. He's not one of those people that asks a million questions that needs to overanalyze to get started. It sounds like he asked a couple of questions. He took action. He got started. 2 weeks later, he's back here to report that he made $500 profit. And I mean, that's awesome, man. That's really good work. I'm assuming he's probably selling on .com, using prep centers, probably did online arbitrage, but that's good stuff, man. Congrats.
Oh, this is a good one too. I get confused sometimes. SellerAmp says that Amazon has 100% of the buy box, but I see the offer count going up and down. Yeah, so that probably means that listing has insane velocity and enough customers are going down and clicking see all and essentially clicking right there. Or there's times where there's no buy box where obviously SellerAmp or Keepa's not going to report any buy box data. And that's when the third-party sellers are selling at. So don't automatically avoid no sales rank, no buy box types of listings either, guys.
Yeah, you'll see it where they're only like a
like,
week and it looks like they're hogging all the sales, but the other 80 days of that 90-day period, you're good to go.
And I think like self-reflecting, I think as like content creators, we've done a lot better of a job kind of shedding light on that offer count over the past, call it 8 months, 6 months. As opposed to like the first couple of years that we've been kind of doing this.
We used to be so bad at explaining shit back in the day.
I know, dude. And like just something like that offer count tab kind of overruling a lot of what Keepa shows. Yeah. Like we never used to talk about that.
Yeah. It was all sales rank shit. Yeah.
Yep. What should sellers look at for a replenish strategy? How do they differ between FBA, FBM? I mean, they're pretty much the same for both. With the exception of like FBA stuff, when you're restocking, you just have to think further ahead. So like if you really want to stay in stock on FBA stuff, there's a really good reason to do so. You'll gradually win more and more buy box the longer you're in stock on a listing and stay there. So just plan like that 2-3 weeks, however long out in advance your seller account typically takes to ship in and get it all checked in at Amazon. Use a little bit of 2D barcode action too. That'll speed you up on that front. And then FBM, it's the same thing. You just kind of have that week horizon, right? So buy it, make sure it shows up in a week. It's a good idea just to look at your fastest selling ASINs every month, your most profitable ASINs every month, figure out what you can and can't restock. And then like we're talking about earlier, most of that isn't going to be just like, oh, I'm about to sell out, let me go buy more. It's all right, next time the sale rolls back around, I know that I sold 14 in a week. All right, this time I'm going to buy, 60 or 80 because the sale only comes around every month or so, right? So that's where you really start to build that like restocking catalog and stuff.
That's so important though. Everyone understand what Warner just said. And not only that, right? Document your hottest, your best brands every quarter. Right? Because I guarantee if you look into your top 3 to 5 brands, there's more money to be found, more ASINs to be found, more variations to be found. There's always more money where you've already had success. That goes for brands. That also goes for ASINs, right? Warner pointed out documenting your top ASINs. If any of those are variation listings, there's probably more variations that are just as profitable that you're just not buying. And so document, as Warner was saying, your top ASINs, your top brands, and also on the other end of the spectrum, any ASINs that are getting returned a bunch. Anything that's a 5 or 10%, 15% return rate or higher, if you are not accounting for that in your margin on the beginning end and the front end, then you're probably losing money. For example, shoes, right? If you have a pair of shoes that are getting returned 15, 12% of the time, 10% of the time, and you're only buying those with an expected 10% margin, that's not good enough, right? Anything that's double-digit return rate needs to be 25%, 30%, 40% margin to justify the added risk, the ultimately longer leverage that your money's out.
It's a shame Garrett's jump shots lacking. Otherwise, he would have been a great NBA.
To add on to that, Garrett, so you made a really good point earlier at talking about like when you find a good product or when you find a good brand, that a lot of times like it's worth just going deeper on that product. Like so from a wholesale perspective, like there's been plenty of times where we're sourcing a distributor and they've got really good pricing on, let's say like a Milwaukee tool. Well, it makes way more sense for us to find more profitable Milwaukee tools, like Milwaukee branded products from that supplier, than it does for us to go now look at DeWalt or look at Ryobi or like look at these other brands. Because a lot of times suppliers, they'll have good pricing at the brand level. So if you find one product from a brand that has good pricing, chances are the supplier has a lot more.
Yeah, Piero, you have UPC codes for everything. Conveniently, that's actually only a private label thing, so you're not actually going to need to do anything on those. Loaded up my box. I'm shipping. Hell yeah, got the drip on. We forgot to all wear the drip.
Let's go.
I forgot.
I got quasi box and drip.
Did branded bundles like become not a thing over the weekend, or what was up with that?
So apparently Amazon's cracking down on bundle listing. So I mean, the common way to kind of like get around the branded bundle, or not even get around, but
it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, people were just listing them under their own trademark brand name, which is kind of a gray area, and seems like a lot of people are getting not even just like slap with warnings, but like straight up accounts suspended.
Yeah. That's brutal, but like you had to know. I mean, you had.
There was never.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the only way to do it within TOS is if you have an LOA from every brand in your bundle. And like a lot of these guys are bundling. Like I saw like Clorox bundles. I'm like, it's like, no, yeah, it's just not.
And then they're pretending that
like
it's
a
their
cash
custom. They're pretending it's their custom brand because they threw a pen in it and called it like
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
like taking the top Kirkland product or like a coffee
Yeah.
thing and adding like a coffee mug or something. That was never gonna work.
Yeah.
But branded bundles still super viable
So-
if you can get an LOA if you're buying.
Yeah, absolutely. So like the rule and what it's always been is I think at least half of the items have to be that brand that you're calling it, right? So I guess
I think-
theoretically, if you're bundling your own brand with something that is name brand, it would still work.
Well, so I think your trademark branded item technically needs to be the most expensive single item in the bundle.
Okay,
So if
yeah.
you're doing like, Kirkland, 2 Kirkland and 1 of your branded, your brand, if it's the most expensive like item in that bundle, I think technically that's still.
So there's gonna be some ninjas out there that like really have some good listings on that, but it's not like you're not adding a napkin with some Kirkland almonds and calling it your own brand.
Dude,
No,
I actually looking at one of those, like Kirkland specifically with product X added to it.
Yeah.
It was moving like thousands of times.
They-
a month.
some
move.
of the
Yeah, they
Kirkland
move.
bundles, like the Kirkland, like what is it, like Modafinil, or there's some like hair.
Jimmy was
something.
showing me a bunch of them.
Jimmy,
a couple
yeah, that's the one Jimmy wanted to do. In fact, I think he went it. I was like, dude, why haven't you done it? I don't know why you didn't do it, but it was gonna blow up.
Those things where
Haven't
he
been able
comes
to
up with the
find
idea
any
and
profitable products from reverse sourcing it over a week. What can I do to increase my success rates? Yeah. So if other people are carrying something and you can't find it profitably, especially if the price is stable, it's because you're not using the discounts that exist on those websites. So all it is bridging the knowledge gap of figuring out, how do I make things profitable on Puma.com? How do I make things profitable on Rack Room? How do I make things profitable on Dick's? How do I make things profitable on Hibbett? Right. And that comes from asking customer service, talking to other sellers, checking all the coupon Chrome extensions, specifically Coupon Burst, Capital One Shopping, Be Frugal, Retail Me Not, Rakuten, and Top Cashback. Those are all free, right? Discounted gift cards on Cardbear and Top Cashback as well. And if you're utilizing all those opportunities and anything that's close, you're putting on a spreadsheet to buy once the 4th of July sales start in a couple of days, then you're going to find a lot of SKUs, Kyle, and you're going to find pretty much nothing if you're not implementing different discount methods.
Corey, did you hit the links today?
Yeah, I hit the range earlier.
Elijah,
were you
so
frustrated?
this is interesting, right?
What?
So Elijah here is a Chad scaler, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like his cousin is married to Thomas on Twitter's cousin, right? And they're both Chad scalers, and they're cousins or something. It's something crazy where they married in like his cousin married his cousin, and they didn't really know it. And he found him on Amazon Twitter. Was like, hey, like I think my cousin married your. It's something ridiculous like that. It's
That's
actually
funny.
true. Yeah, where they had met once in person, then they met again on Amazon Twitter. And I'm pretty sure Elijah Thomas moved into the same warehouse you guys did, right? Thomas, yeah, and I'm pretty sure he moved into the warehouse with him too now.
But yeah, the fact, Elijah, that you're getting LOAs for the bundles you're doing, like that's the only way to do it. That's totally like, white hat. Like you're gonna have no issues with that, really.
It's not a hard sell if you do it right. You say, hey, we're gonna create an extra way for you to create sales. Here's our resume of us boosting sales for other companies. Like, yeah,
it's such a no-brainer. Yeah, if you pitch it right, and if the brand gets it, it's a no-brainer. And Noah has a question kind of on the brand direct front. He said, do you sell on other platforms for brand direct accounts you have? So me personally, we don't. Other people probably do. That's a big value add. If you have, an e-com site that's doing volume, or if you have brick and mortar channels or any other channels you can sell that brand's products through, that should be all included in the pitch that you're giving to the brand, because again, that makes you more than just an Amazon seller. But us personally, we're not.
Ooh, okay. Pedro's been worried about this one here. For a random name on the website I bought from, submit it and see what happens. Or buy it again with the correct name and submit that. You have no other choice but to do that. Now, if you take the L and just let it sit, it's probably not going to nuke your account. In fact, I'd almost guarantee it won't. But you don't want to have it on your account in the first place.
Yep. Removals are getting canceled. I've never heard of that. Removal orders getting canceled? Unless like your address has any issues or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one too. For FBA shipments, is the ship from address the UPS address? Nope. It's going to be your crib or wherever you're actually sending it from, because it going back to UPS would have no way for it to get back to you, Island Ecom.
How would you recommend liquidate excess retail gift cards? Being on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Twitter,
you
yep.
should have
Existing.
a couple hundred people that are following you that are in the same space, and there's no better way to sell something
do
the
any.
same sort of person than being on Twitter
Yeah.
or Instagram or wherever.
Yeah,
Social media they're on.
that's just like a couple Amazon seller friends. Like, yo, there's a sale here. I got some extra gift cards. You
Oh
wanna,
yeah, of
yeah.
course, yeah.
Any advice getting seller support to help?
Let us
That
know,
is the
Alice. Let us
$1,000,000
know when you
question,
figure it
Alice.
out.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah,
Like, somebody
phone
has
is
the
answers.
volume game.
General rule is get them on the phone. They're typically a little more helpful there. And yeah, it's just if you don't like your answer, then make a new case.
Hang up and call back. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
volume game. Part of that, I mean, that's why when we talk about like successful sellers, right? Patience, persistence, all those things are embedded in every successful seller, right? Because not everything is going to go your way, right? Not everything is going to be sunshine and raise and whatever that phrase is, right?
You got to say sunshine and raisins.
Piero, man, you're overthinking it, man. That-
Roses. I was going
none of
for
these-
roses, but that's not it either.
yeah, Piero, man, like none of these. So you don't own a brand, right? And do you, sir? No. And either way, Piero, you're overthinking it. Like none of these questions really affect like any of your selling or anything either, man. Like I would just keep going through it. You'll be fine.
2 hours of our miles, all our live sourcing, apply it to brand X that you want to sell and get to it. I mean, it's as simple as that.
What would be too many sellers? The amount of sellers that makes the listing go down in price. There are some phenomenal listings that have 100 sellers on them, but it's pretty stable, right? And there's some terrible listings that have 10 sellers on them because 2 weeks ago they had 2, right? It's all about the trend on it. Rosalato.
Yep. How do 2D barcodes work? Yeah, Ronnie. So it's just like a little barcode that goes on your FBA box label that has your box contents embedded on it, basically. So when it gets at Amazon, they just scan that and they know exactly what's in the box. We've seen lots of people getting like 5-day to 10-day check-in times with 2D barcodes when they previously were getting like 30-day check-in times, and you have to use a software like Boxem to use 2D barcodes.
And if you want to save a lot of money, you should definitely use Boxem.
Or a software that is Boxem, not like Boxem.
Yeah.
It's the only one of its kind.
Ooh, this is a good one, Will. So just give Amazon a call and say, hey, let them know I'm gonna be changing up some of the information in my account, and then just let them know, hey, I'll be changing up some of the info in my account, and then just do it right after. Very good question.
That's super important.
Yeah.
Never change a bank account information. Never change address. Never change anything. Phone number, email. Don't change anything without opening a case, having documentation that you warned them, and then call them as well and make sure and be like, hey, and I would even have them do it for you, just to increase the chances of no hiccups, no headaches going to happen.
Yeah, same exact thing though, Pedro. Same exact thing for an authentic complaint, product condition complaint, any of that stuff. Same exact thing. On ungated and authentic, all that stuff.
Any other tips for back to school? Yeah, I mean, just like a lot of the classic stuff. So like, FBM as much as possible, place pickup orders for stuff that's really selling. You can go out to the store, get more of it that day. Try to make an Amazon seller friend or two over the next month so you can bounce some product ideas during the thick of back to school. It's just kind of, this will be like your training grounds for Q4. So take it as seriously as you can, learn what you can. You're going to miss some opportunity. That's kind of, like a lot of the biggest sellers I talk to, they always just like regret the missed opportunity, like not going deep on stuff rather than like, oh, I lost money here, lost money there. So like just try to avoid as much missed opportunity as possible. And then what you learn, you'll maximize during Christmas.
And I think the key is speed, right? Speed is going to make up for the deficiencies that you do have. And the only way to really execute on speed is to merchant fulfill, right? While you're merchant fulfilling, you can be way more liquid inside the marketplace. You don't have to buy 50 units, send them in, and hope they're still sellable 3 weeks later. You can buy 10. If the market validates your assumption, then you buy 20 more, right? And then you buy 50 more. You allow yourself to make up for all the deficiencies that you just have because you don't have a lot of experience by just being super liquid, being super quick. By buying 5, they sell, go back to the store, buy 10 more, right? Buy 15 more. And then when you accompany that with the speed of FBM, well, then you're essentially unstoppable with not having to have years and years of experience.
So Mo had a good question earlier. Should I still sell if a single Amazon seller controls most of the buy box, even though there's multiple sellers? So Mo, it really depends on how fast the product is moving. If this is a product that's selling thousands of units per month, even if one seller is dominating the majority of the buy box, even if you get rotated in a small percentage of the time, you're still going to make sales because it's such a high volume listing. So my best advice is always just to test it out, buy 10 to 20 units. If it's not a super expensive product, send it in, see how it goes, and then use that data to determine the follow-up order there.
Jimmy, yeah, don't
back to school. You're way too late, unfortunately, just with the lead times and everything. Gold mark promo.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
advice
don't-
there would be probably like office supplies distributors, or some of these toys and games type suppliers would do really well for back to school. But guys, also, I mean, this stuff, it sells you well year round, right? Not to say that everything, right? Like some of these backpacks and some of these like very specific back to school products are going to be more seasonal. But think about like notebooks. Somebody earlier was talking about like Crayola crayons. Like this type of stuff sells really well all year. And some of this stuff even sells really well again in Q4, right? Like seasonal around Christmas time.
Well, the cool thing is, right, if you get a good enough price, you make yourself unstoppable year round, right? If you get a good enough price, you can win 12 months out of the year. Jimmy, yeah, don't do that. There's a whole bunch of metrics that essentially
Yeah, it's not like
right?
though. Yeah,
Just buy the shipping, refund it, you'll be good.
yeah.
Obviously, don't do that a lot, but
Yeah, buy the shipping as cheap and as light as possible. Then refund it. G-Body Benz, when are you getting here?
Wednesday night.
Cool. Like at 2 a.m.
Actually, I checked. You're gonna be pumped. We fly into Miami, American, because
American
because
sucks.
of
Why would you be pumped about that?
He typically does Frontier into Fort Lauderdale.
Oh God,
What?
Garrett. What are you,
Garrett, are you
what
serious?
doing?
No, not Frontier. Not Frontier.
Dude, come on.
Yeah. All right. See, now that's who y'all are taking advice from on how to make money, y'all. So we're letting you know who your gurus really are.
By making it and saving it, I don't think that's a bad thing.
We're gonna see a meme of like Amazon Guru flying Spirit, and it's just like Garrett on the plane, like stuffed into a
I don't
mouth
think
seat.
Spirit's bad. I think it's fine. I don't need.
Dude, it's so bad.
As
Yeah.
long as you
that's
get me there
fun.
safely.
Yeah. Final question here from Rosalado. What's y'all take on when to FBA or FBM items? Yeah. So ideally, you'll FBM everything when you're a new seller and FBA everything long term. Doesn't always work with that though, right? The only time you can FBM a listing is if a bunch of other people are FBMing a listing. Right. So if you're seeing a lot of the buy box share, a lot of the sales on a listing go FBM, you can probably FBM too. Right. Meanwhile, if the listing is only FBA sellers, you're probably not going to be able to FBM that SKU. Right. And you build a feel for that over time. What you want to use for that, though, Rosalado, is the data buy box statistics feature on Keepa. It's going to be really helpful for that too. Right there. Wait, bow tie. I thought you were going on and on anymore.
Garrett's a man of the people.
Yep. Does that mean I'm ungated? Yeah. Yeah, in fact, that's in food and grocery category. Yep. Residence as return ad, of course. Yeah, you can set it as whatever you want. Right there. Cool. All right. We'll see y'all soon. Appreciate another great Money Monday. 4th of July coming up. So Garrett and I'll have some good stuff coming for you guys on that. Pretty much every retailer, a lot of them haven't started yet, which I would expect them to have started, but they haven't. Gonna have 4th of July sales. It's going to be popping, and we'll get to it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great one.
That's it.
Absolutely.
See you guys.
See y'all soon.
See you guys.